Steve Dotto here. How the heck are you doing this fine day? And welcome to Gray Matters Unscripted. It's the end of June. Where did time go and what has happened? Our previous life to pre-COVID seems like a different lifetime, yet the year seems to be rushing by. I'm reminded of my father, who said to me at one point, as I was visiting him when he was in the later years of his life. I said, "How you doing, Dad?" He goes, "The days go slow, but the years go fast." And that was pretty profound. I kind of feel like that's the space that we're in right now. Is the days? Some of the days go well. Actually, it's a combination. The days go slow, but then they also just what happened to that day and what's happening to time, like June. Or I just can't believe it. Anyways, enough of that. April, how the heck you doing?
I'm great. Happy Friday. I feel like summer is upon us, so I'm excited.
It feels like that. You guys are having gorgeous weather, and you've been out boating. Your kids have been out fishing, and your husband's been out fishing. I'm super jealous. Super jealous.
Anytime the door is open, my friend.
It is. It is. That's good. So, first of all, welcome everybody. Let us know where you're in from and say hello. It'll be great to see who's on with us. Nobby's there from Australia. It's good morning, good early morning to you, sir. And we see Jay Sneed. Hello, welcome everybody. It has been an incredible week for us here at Autotech. Our team has been all hands on deck. Last week during the Gray Matters Unscripted, we talked to you about our decision-making process in putting together a membership and what we were planning on doing and how we were launching it. And we were just in the middle of putting out an offer at that point there for what are called our founding members for this new Gray Wave membership, focused primarily on baby boomers, teaching them about how to build an online business and remain relevant in the digital age, to reinvent themselves, to develop a side hustle, all of that kind of good stuff that is grist for the mill for all of us that we love to have a chat about. So last week when we were live, we were just at the point where we had done the launch, we had emailed, we had done webinars, we'd let people know that we were doing this. And now we were at the decision point where we were collecting addresses and we were collecting people's applications in order to join us in our founders launch. And we had no idea how it was going to go at that point. We were uncharted territory for us all. And so in the spirit of that, and now I love hearing stories from other online creators and other online marketers about their kind of the internal machinations of their business and the decision points and the surprises and the lessons they learn along the way. So this week, Gray Matters Unscripted is going to be the continuation of that, as we will take your questions and we will talk you through this last week, which has been maybe the most intense week we've ever had as a team. Would you agree, April, as far as our business is concerned? I guess the launch week, when we launched B School, when we did the final kind of crunch week for B School, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, I think this was an intense week. I think what made it a little bit more intense was we were overwhelmed by so many applications that we ended up pivoting a little bit, which you should always, you pivot, you have plan B, plan C. So yes, I would say it's been a stressful in a good way, because, I think the biggest takeaway from this week is we've learned so much about so many of our community members, which has been fabulous. So that's been my favorite part of this week, even though it's been a little bit busy.
Yeah, exactly. It's been from a personal perspective, and I guess from a business perspective, it's been a nicely affirming week. So I'll just recap for those of you who might not have joined us last week. It's like you're joining in a series in episode 2 in the second episode of a 2-part series. So about a year ago, we decided that we were going to develop a community site, a membership portal for the Gray Wave, for the graybeards amongst us, for the baby boomers and Gen Xers who are looking to build an online business. We needed a resource where we could teach them the skills, so they could share with each other, primarily to build community, so that they would have. So many of us in this online space don't have somebody in our house or in our neighborhood who understands what we do for a living. So finding support, finding somebody to bounce ideas off of, to run something up the flagpole with, that's such a challenge. And we get that. April and I get that because we we used to go to conferences. We built a friend group that were like an accountability group of people who understood us and had our best interest at heart that we could share with. But so many people starting out an online business don't have that. And so they have virtual, they come to things like this live stream, and this is the community that they're going to. So we wanted to entrench something, make it more, and build a really successful community, help people find success. So that once we decided on that started us on a journey where I looked outside of our core team of April, Liz, and I for the first time, really, and we hired some coaches to help us develop the program and to build out the membership site, and we hired some services. So we started to do that, and I guess that began in earnest. How long ago did we really get down to planning? Is it 3 months ago? It was just after social media marketing world that we actually.
I would say we started in probably the middle of April. So not. I don't even know if it's quite 3 months. I think we started because it was interesting because the coaches put us in line of what we thought you could accomplish in a short amount of time or length of time. And they were like, no, this is a process. So it was good. It was good.
Yeah, so exactly. And so we've done so much groundwork before. We've been, as Liz, who is on with us, Liz is posting as me on YouTube right now. For so long, we've been delivering content to a community with our webinar Wednesday, with our podcast, with our YouTube videos. And so, Gary Vaynerchuk's book of Jab, 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 Right Hook, Liz says, well, all we've been doing is jabbing. We have never thrown a right hook in our existence. So this was the first time. So we were ready. We were ready as a team. We were ready as a brand to do this. So we launched. So the technique that we chose to launch, because there's a million different ways that you can launch a product. There's a million different marketing techniques. Some of them are more socially engineering, manipulative than others. They have, the ladder technique where you bring people into the community for $17 for 2 weeks and then you charge them more. There's, there's all sorts of different models of launching a membership site. So we chose a system that kind of met with our ethos, met with the way that we've done business in the past, and what we also thought would be in the best interest of our community and ourselves. And we decided to do what's called a founders launch model, where we invited a small group of people, 50 in our particular case, to join us as founders and come into the community early while we build out the systems and how we're going to be doing the teaching and the base content. While we built that out, we would have these founders as a part of the group. And so they would almost be collaborators with us as we put everything in place. Because when you join a membership, how are the courses delivered? How is the content delivered? How many live streams do you do? How do you answer questions? How do you build engagement? How do you create accountability within the group? These are all things that we have theories on how we would like to do, but they haven't been tested in the line of fire. So you can either do that with your public offer when you take the group live, or you can do it in a beta group, which is what we're doing. So we invited these founders in and we gave them a special consideration. We asked them to apply because we wanted to have the right people. And I know that sounds terribly elitist, but we needed people that were would add value to the overall offering, who are ready to hit the ground running, who weren't in the early stages of discovery. We looked for people a little farther along the path to be part of that founders group. We opened it up for applications. And then they would be with us for 2 months until we do the public launch in September. And so we were terrified 2 weeks ago when we released this to the public. Maybe we weren't, I was, that there would be crickets, that we wanted to have 50 people in. And we thought, oh gosh, what are we going to do if there's 35 people in as we're kind of reaching the end of this phase? Because we closed the doors for the applications at a certain point. But we blew through that 50 number the very early on in the process. We ended up with 265 people applying to be part of the community. So that's where we left off. That's where the last episode left off. We had the 265 people last week as we did our live stream, and we were talking about what was coming up. So that was it was a good weekend, knowing that we had 265 people in the mix. But quickly, elation on our part, at least on my part, at this wonderful affirmation from the community that this many people wanted to be part of it, turned to terror, because now we have to go through and we have to pick 265 people. And I don't know about you guys out there in interweb land, but I hate like heck saying no to people and disappointing people. And with 265 people applying for 50 slots, it meant that we were going to say no to 215 people. We were going to say no to a lot more people than we were saying yes to. And I was not looking forward to that process. In fact, it caused me considerable anxiety, because you don't like, these people want to be part of it. You want to say, hell yeah, I'd jump on board, but we'd set ourselves in process. So Monday morning, April, Liz and I launched a Zoom call. And how long did the Zoom call last, April?
I believe it was close to 12 hours. Poor Liz went to bed well after 1:30 in the morning, her time.
It breaks my heart. See,
no,
it's and the word reject is, this is what I was afraid people would feel. This is what I was afraid people would feel.
And it was, and I think I think one of the things that's so hard to get across to people, like, and I know Steve sent out videos to the people that aren't in the founding 50, is that, we did really go through each and every, and not even just once. So we, as a team, before the applications closed, we went individually. Then over the weekend, I know Liz went through them again, Steve went through them, I went through them again. Excuse me. And then on Monday,
we created a spreadsheet with a checklist of who we liked and making notes. So we had this massive spreadsheet with 265 people on the list, and each of us checking off who we liked, who we thought should be in the membership, and this other criteria that we'd established. So go ahead, Liz.
No, and my name is April. You're calling me Liz. That you did that on Webinar Wednesday too. I'm April. Just messing with you. So yeah, and we went through each and every one, and we had a kind of a system of that we started to kind of look at, because it was really hard if we didn't put a system in place of what we were looking at, because they were all really great and everyone took time to share a lot about their business, their ideas, what their goals were, their objectives, their past experience, which, can I just tell you, the experience that is in the Dotto Tech community is unreal. Like, it's just amazing, amazing, amazing people you all are. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so we did. So we in that 12-hour call, my wife came down and kissed me goodbye on her way to work, and she came home and said hello, and we were still on the call. She goes, "Oh, are you on with them again?" No, we haven't been off the call. It was 12 hours. We took brief periods to take poor Farley for a walk or something, but it was a 12-hour day. And we didn't just look at the applications, but we creeped people's Facebook pages. We were because once we had it down to maybe 60 or 70 people, maybe 70 or 75 people, the decisions were really tough. But the criteria came down for us. Obviously, the quality of the application in there, it was the quality of the people was at that point there unquestioned. We ended up being quite selfish in one way, in that we were looking for people who could give us as much feedback as possible in the early days. We looked for real mix, a gender mix, and as varied a group as we could get. But we also looked for people who we could anticipate there would be good testimonials for September. Because at the end of the day, this is a business, and we're going to be launching this to the public, and the success is going to be determined on getting the right people into the group and telling them the story and making sure that we can articulate the value that we're going to be delivering. So you have to pay attention to that. Serving our community is a big part of this whole thing, but then also having a sustainable community means having the right people being attracted to the community when we launch it to the public. Success is going to lie in our being able to grow it. So testimonials are something that you need, and you need a good number of, and you need good quality so people can envision what they're buying into. So in a lot of cases, it came down to what's the story that this person can tell, that we can use to tell in September when it came out. And that was, so a lot of people whose applications were just outstanding weren't invited into that group just because of those criteria. And it was so difficult. How long did we spend on the email that we
we spent a ton of time on the email that went out. I mean, there were so many iterations of it. And it wasn't even that there were huge changes to it. It was, I mean, yeah, I would say we spent a few hours kind of going back and forth, because the email actually was written probably 3 weeks ago. But when we came to last week, we changed it. We changed a lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to
There's
just
Kathy.
add. Oh, yep. Hey, Kathy.
Kathy just signed up as she's one of our early birds. So welcome aboard.
One of the things I wanted to add to the whole, our spending time as a Zoom meeting, I think in our own, and I'm sure many of you in your own business, is what was wonderful being part, like working with Liz and Steve, and really realizing how much we are on the same page with our community, and like that collaboration and our thought process was so, I mean, I loved that. I loved being able to, of course, we always challenge each other on different things, but we're so in line with, I don't know, just the community and our thought process of what we want to do to help others in the community. So
in business, as you're planning your business, we all plan for what happens when we miss our goals, when we underperform. Seldom do you take into account, or do you plan for overperforming, for doing better than you planned. I mean, it's just not in our nature. The meeting we had with our coaches before was, what do we do if we're at 35 people when we're about to do the launch? And how do we eat crow? And how do we proceed?
right.
We never had a conversation of, what do we do if there's 265 people that want to be in? So now April was saying we had to pivot, and that's where the pivot occurred. That's where we had to sit away. We had to kind of step back and say, what do we do with these other 215 people who have raised their hand, said that they want to be a part of the community? They obviously trust us. They are valuable to us. They're people that we care about. And now we're going to tell them, you didn't make the cut. Stick around for 2 months. We'll come back to you in 2 months when we do the public launch. Exactly how great a relationship are we going to have at that time?
Right.
And it's what are you going to do? So we noodled about it, and I don't know who came up with the idea first, but we decided that what we should do, we have to let them know that we appreciate them. We have to let them know that our rejection is based not on their value, but on these other criteria, which they have no control over. It's not speaking to whether or not they would be valuable members, they would get a lot out of the community, and they would not deliver something to the community. So we had to get that. And I think we managed that by me doing a video explaining the entire process and really crafting a good email, sending out to everybody, letting them know what the criteria was. But we still had people pissed off. I got to tell you, we had people unsubscribe. We had people send us letters, and they weren't rude letters, but they were obviously disappointed. And we completely get that and understood that.
Right.
But we also said, well, what can we do as well? Because the founders are being rewarded for their investment in us by getting a really good deal long-term in the membership. So can we offer the same kind of deal to these people? And the initial thought was, when we go to launch, anybody that was in the membership group originally, anybody that had applied and had not gotten in, and this is when I thought there would be 10 or 15 people, we will offer a discount. When we go live with the launch, we'll offer them a special discount, and we'll make it up to them, and they'll be thrilled with our generosity at that particular point. Well, as the reality of the situation kind of came in, and as I started to kind of work through it, I realized that was a pale offering, and it wasn't gonna serve. So what we decided to do was we decided to invite them to join the community now. They wouldn't be able to participate in the live trainings that are going to be happening, but we would give them all of the other benefits that the community will have, as far as access to all of our online trainings, our courses, so they could go through that content over the next few months before the public launch. We would invite them into the group 2 weeks before, so we would have like an early launch, kind of a pre-party, where they're in the community and participating for 2 weeks before the public launch. And we would give them a significant discount on their membership as a result. So we would waive the initiation fee, which is a big chunk of change. And then we would offer that to them. And so that's what we did. But we didn't we didn't come into this 2 weeks ago with this is the plan. So this was the pivoting that we had to do, and this is what we had to kind of re-engineer on the fly. And that's pretty much where that was the kind of agile thinking and working our way through the problem. But it's interesting when the problem is a good problem to have, because it's opportunity. It's not like we were trying to find new ways to engage people and to sell them on our prospect. Instead, it was changing the expectations of the group who weren't part of the founders group. And overall, I would say I wouldn't give us an A. I give us an A on the founders launch as far as a grading goes. I mean, we blew it out of the water. As far as how we've dealt with the second tier, with the second wave, and that second tier, that sounds very judgy. The second wave, I'd give us a B at best, because we just hadn't thought the entire process through. So our messaging was a little more chaotic and a little more reactionary. Like some people pointed out, well, what's this with the pricing? What happens here? Go, oh yeah, we should clarify that. So there was some clarification that happened. But fortunately, I think we've got enough equity with the community that for the most part people work with us as opposed to being confrontational. And I see several people in here that are part of both phases. So we're thrilled with that.
Yeah, it definitely, when you pivot and whether it be for the good, or even if it's not for the good, when you're trying to pivot the other way, I think it's really, it's interesting, the steps. And I think one of the things too, as we get into the membership, we're going to document all of this process and like things that we know for future launches or future endeavors that we would improve. There should always be a plan B and C, I guess, right? That's one of them. I mean, you do it great on Webinar Wednesday, right? So if there's technology issues, you always have a plan B or C or D. But
thank you. I think in Australia, they're a little aggressive with how they deal with people who don't make the cut. So thank you, Nobby. That was completely inappropriate. So I guess we've got some questions here. Let me jump in and the purpose of this live stream today is not marketing. It's information and sharing the experience with you. So I see here that Kathy's asking if there's a link. So we promoted this fairly aggressively several weeks ago with our email that went out and a couple of live streams and a webinar that's so the actual applications are closed now until September. So in September we'll be launching. So now the next phase of this entire process is we now have our 50 members, our 50 founding members, who we will be bringing into the membership area, which has just been built, just being completed now. And we will start doing, and we have 4 training modules that we're going to be doing over the next 2 months. And each of those 4 training modules are in different aspects of online marketing. And with each one, we have additional expectations of that core community. So they're going to be taking doing the live lesson with us, doing a workshop that we do following each live lesson. So that's 2 live streams that happen in week 1 of each module. In week 2 of each module, we then drop additional supporting content and fill out the module, the learning module, and then we have a debrief that week as well, where they come on live with us again and they tell us what worked and what didn't work, how we can improve our delivery method, the rhythm, the timing, all of the different aspects that I was talking about that we are going to be kind of trial running. We do, and then we do that 4 cycles through until September 1st. September 1st, we will start a full-on marketing campaign. So if you're following Dottotech, if you're following us in any of these places, starting September 1st, we're going to be in pitch mode. Now, the good thing about this is I'm not going to make this a open door, closed door membership. There's a lot of discussion out there in the membership world as you start to study and start to learn about how memberships work, about the benefits of doing launches and then closing the door, which creates scarcity. The whole idea behind it is we're going to have a launch. We're going to open the doors for our membership for 2 weeks or for a month. And then after that, it's closed and you can't join again until next year. B-School is a prime example of that philosophy. works tremendously well because scarcity means people have to get in or they lose out for a whole year. People are afraid of missing out, so it encourages people to sign up. And that's one great philosophy, and it works well as far as marketing goes. But it flies a little bit in the face of my personal philosophy, which is people have responsibility. I think people can make good decisions on their own. We don't necessarily have to push them too hard if the decision's right. So we're going to leave our doors open. So people will be able to sign up at any point. If this month isn't right, they can join us next month.
Right.
We lose some sales as a result. There's no question we lose some sales, but people will join us when they're ready. And I just think for the ethos that we have here at Dottotech and the way we do things, that is a better mix. So, but regardless, we still have to launch it at some point. We still have to do the initial launch, and that will happen in September. So we are going to be very focused on launching this community in September. So there's going to be heavy messaging there. There's not going to be a lot of Evernote conversations coming from Steve Dotto in the month of September. It's going to be the gray wave. And
right. I feel like when you say that, we should be like the gray wave.
Yes. Too many burpees on my shoulder sore.
The other thing too in September, you had mentioned the application. There's no applications to join the membership come September. This was just for our founders launch to get the feedback and help us kind of move forward, right? So and with the content and get feedback to make sure that we're providing clearly the best membership ever, the gray wave.
Indeed. What does Judith say? I feel so excited about the prospect of what will come. When will we become? What will we become? Exactly. That's all. You know, when I'm doing we're following up with as many as I can. I'm going through the applications one last time. So as far as this, so that's the direction we're taking. We're building out the course content. So now our attention shifts from sales and marketing of building doing the initial launch to content. So for the next 2 months, April, Liz, and I are creating the content for the community, doing and testing that out and making sure that we are on point for when we shift back to sales mode in September, when we do the big launch. And that's a one-time launch where we're going to be doing it. We're going to be pulling out all the stops. And then it goes into evergreen sales, where we'll be using automated webinars and some other techniques. I'm sure that occasionally we will have we will feature it, and we'll do like a mini launch where we share it to the public and we do some live content. But for the most part, it's going to be an ongoing evergreen launch where we're targeting cold traffic, bringing people in, using all of the techniques that we teach, using Facebook ads, bringing them into a webinar, taking them through an email sequence, and figuring out what works best for converting people and bringing people into the community through that process. So that's our goal. So then our attention is not on sales and marketing at that point, but our attention can be on creating the content that people are coming into the community for. So that's that process that we'll be going through. So it's been overall, it's been pretty exciting. It's been pretty cool. I see so many of you here that are part of it and have jumped on board.
Very exciting.
Sorry, I'm just seeing if there's any.
Did you see Graham's comment?
You said it.
I did.
Let's just full disclosure. How hard was that for you to do, and how scared were you to say it?
I was pretty confident because I had already. So Graham, and I apologize. I think I actually said it on air, your name incorrectly previously. So yes, and for whatever reason, I just can't say your name correctly. So
you can. You've got it now. But because we're a kind, gentle group here at Dottotech, we mocked April mercilessly for butchering Graham, and it's and for me, whenever I do that, like having done television for as many years and live stuff, if I get somebody's name wrong, it becomes like a mental block, and I just screw it up no matter what.
Kind of like you call me Liz, and you think I'm from New Hampshire.
That's just me calling the dog my son's name and my son my dog's name. That's just different. That's familiarity. You should consider that a compliment.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
do. I don't, it
That's the way I
doesn't
look at
bother
it.
me. I just like messing with you like you like to mess with me.
Fair point. So we're about to launch my wife's membership for her recipes and community on the free living on grain free living. Yes, we read through your application. Your application was very cool. So learning a lot about from our process. Looking forward to the community. Indeed, and that's it. You know it's. I always feel a little bit funny saying we're going to do a live stream where we're just going to talk about us, and I feel that's a little centric on what we do, but I do love it when other people share their process,
Right.
and especially if they kind of give a little bit of transparency and talk about what they did well and talk about what they didn't do well, and so that it sets reasonable expectations and it fires your imagination. What some of the comments that we had in the that really landed with me in our application was several people commented how they had launched several times, they'd tried several products out, but they were reaching the point that they just believed that a very tiny percentage of people had success online, and that most businesses were failures online. And that really resonated with me, because when you don't have success, and I think that most of us blame ourselves for failure with an online business. And it's not that and I think where most of our blame comes from, or most of our judgment of self judgment comes from, is we think for some reason that we didn't try hard enough, and it's just through effort that you should succeed. But it's not. The keys to successful online business are pretty clear once you open your eyes to them, and just trying harder and trying to do the same thing harder is not the answer. You have to be agile, and you have to look at the problem from several different perspectives, and you have to have faith in the process, because no online business is successful unless there's a process behind it, because it takes time to put all of the different pieces in place. If you open a store, there's a process to opening a store on a street. And you have to get your awning, and you have to get your graphics for the window, and you have to get your point of sale system, and you have to get your inventory in. And when it's all physical things like that, it's self-evident to us, and we can understand. And yes, those businesses might fail and they might succeed, but the process is seldom at fault. There's other things that are going to be the success or failure, uh, things that cause success or failure. With an online business, because the stuff is virtual, we don't necessarily always honor the process the same way. I think too many people start an online business without tilling the soil, without preparing the soil beforehand. So they haven't built a following, they haven't built a community, they haven't got a voice. They are looking at the end goal. I want recurring revenue, but they aren't thinking about what they offer in advance. So when we do live streams like this, where we share the process and we share our thought process, and you see how much work goes in advance before the public ever sees the work, I think that's just a really healthy way to look at it. And I appreciate it when others share. I guess this is a long way to me get to the point that I hope that you folks appreciate that, the fact that we're sharing this in this way now. So that, go ahead, Liz.
There you go. Thanks. Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of the things that is really important for people. So I actually had the opportunity to talk to some of our community on the phone this week, which was great. So, and I think one of the big things by the live streams and sharing our process and our successes and our not so much successes, it really we're humans, right? Like, we are real people. We have real world problems just like everybody else. So of course we're all different. And, and building a business takes a lot of different pieces and a lot of minds put together for long-term success. But yeah, I love that we share. And I think one of the things that I've worked with Steve, I think I'm working on, or am I working with you for about 5 years? Yeah. And one of my favorite things about Steve, and I share with other people, is just his, he's very transparent, and he's not afraid to share everything. He shares everything with his team. He shares everything, probably sometimes too much, but So I think that makes a world of difference. And I can't imagine that people here today didn't grab something, a takeaway. And I think that's one of the things that you always try to do, is that you share things that somebody can grab onto, one little tip, whether it was something not to do or something to do from
that's
this.
it. And what you're saying there, I mean, that's something that I'm proud of. And Kevin is saying that exact word, and he capitalized the most important word in the whole thing. It's a decreasing commodity, is trust out there. When we think about what's happening in the mass media, when we think about what's happening politically and with the messaging that we're getting all around the world of all of the things going on, finding places and people that you can trust it's just at a premium now. And I think that trust is the most valuable asset that you can have as you build an online business. And it's something that I can't understand how people don't crave it. You know, I mean, so many people are willing to give it up for money.
Well, that's it. People get greedy. People think that, they start to see their revenue wheel churn, and they're like, how can I make more money? And I think without looking at the long term, when you kind of think about a sales funnel, and like, it's like they're almost, it's the old way, right? They're always prospecting and like churning people, and then they don't build the trust in the community of really those people that are going to help you for the long term in your business. And it's all about the relationships for sure.
So later today, we will know what the final numbers look like for the launch, for the early bird and the founders launch of the community, but they've exceeded our expectations. And I think that I can say, honestly, that's the first time in our business experience where we've completely blown our numbers away. When we've launched the Evernote course, we've had a pretty good handle, and maybe not expectations on what the sales were going to be. When we did the B School launch, we had no idea of expectations, so we were going in blind. So I think no matter what, we were going to be thrilled and disappointed at the same time. But with this one here, this is the first time that this is the first time that I've done a launch that I say, this is going to make a great story that people are going to like to learn from down the road, because it's going to be inspirational. It's going to, they're going to say, oh, that it's nice to see that success. And was it Liz or you that said another overnight success, 10 years in the making? But it is. This is the culmination of many years of building what Kevin was saying, knowing people, knowing us, liking us, and trusting us. And now it's the culmination of that. And that took a lot. If you listened to us last week, that was a big decision point for us. Is you're investing, you only have so many of these plays in your that you can deliver. It's like the boy who cried wolf, right? If you come to a community and you say, this is it, this is what we've been building towards, and this is what we want you to invest your energy, your time, and your money in your relationship with us, you only have so many of those that you can do. If this is not successful, it's going to take me a long time to build the trust up in myself and in the community before we're ready to do another big launch. So we took this very, very seriously. And again, that's something that I'm not sure all online businesses in all courses that launch have. I'm always a big critic of the I don't have an issue with the technique of launching an online course before you have the content finished, but I am a big critic of doing that, of that style of, here, sign up for my course and I'm going to be delivering it. Well, we've kind of done that. But I'm a big critic if you've never done it before, if you don't know what it takes to deliver, if you're just kind of throwing it out there, seeing if people are interested, and then you're not committed to the process, and you're not going to be doing the work regardless. So that was the play that we put in place, but it was a big one. This is the playoffs, if it's a sports analogy. So there.
I love it. And I just want to say thank you to all of you that are here today and placing your trust in the Dotto Tech community. Like I said, when we went through those applications, and even people that didn't apply reached out and had questions, and just sharing your stories and the things you do. It's just, I'm honored to be able to work with so many of you and connect with you here online, and the membership on Webinar Wednesday, and all through our Dotto Tech content. So thank you.
Yeah, and nice words of affirmation from Bob and others. Yeah, I would say for us, this has been a an uplifting experience, even though there has been some disappointment, and I know that in the community we generated some disappointment, which caused us some heartache. But overall,
Yes.
Overall, if we can heal those wounds with those people who do feel a little bit disenfranchised, and over time, you recognize it's like your kids. You disappoint your kids occasionally, but over the long haul.
We lost sleep over it. We all lost sleep over it.
Oh yeah.
Remember? We all were online at like weird times.
Well,
like
Liz got to bed at 2 a.m. the night of the of us doing this stuff. I went to bed at 10 o'clock that night, but I was awake at 2 a.m. I woke up at 2 a.m. myself, and I didn't get back to sleep. And I didn't think I was worried, but it was just I couldn't let go the process at that point there. So
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. That's very nice. We make learning fun. We try. And but we have a community that helps with that too. You guys make it easy. So I have a lot of work that I want to get done before today is done, because I'm still sending out some messages to the people that are on the fence on the gray wave, and helping to give them some guidance whether now is the time is right. So you can all save me a lot of time. If any of you have received an invitation for the gray wave early bird and you're sitting on the fence, well, if you sign up now, you'll save me having to reach out to you by a personal message between now and whenever our cart closes later on tonight. So
now they're going to wait. They're going to wait until they get.
Oh, they're going to wait to see if I do.
They're going to see. They're going to see if the fruits in the pudding was that.
I'm going to send out video messages as long as I can, but I'm not going to get through the entire list.
You might hear a phone call from me too.
There we go.
I don't do video.
And Liz is, and so thanks to Liz, who's been helping us out in YouTube comments, because April was concerned about her bandwidth today. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. This was fun. It was good to hear the summary again. I think we encapsulated it right, but it's been a fun couple of weeks. Now the hard work begins, as we have to start doing all of the course content and starting to test that out. But I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got a good mix and a good delivery system. But the proof will be in the pudding. Do you use that term? Yeah. The proof will be in the pudding.
Didn't I say that? I tried to say it 5 minutes ago, but it didn't go very well.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Indeed. Thanks, one and all. April, Liz, thank you very much. Till next week. Next week, it's going to be a lot lighter. Next week, we're not going to be talking about this.
We're getting back to business.
Back to business. Till then, have fun storming the castle.
Bye, guys.